So people should be familiar with the um, the previous version of the PCF dashboard, which was used mid to late last year as we worked through some of the PCF examples. We shared this, and this was used by several of our NTP partners throughout the process of implementing the PCF last year, and we made some improvements on the dashboard and some of the visualizations. But as we went through the user-centered research and some of the evaluation of the PCF and the data tools last year, there were some opportunities to improve, and I think some challenges of the previous version that I think we really focused on trying to improve with this new version of the PCF dashboard. So these visuals hopefully are familiar with folks who have been in some previous conversations about the PCF work. On the top right, you can see sort of a screenshot of the Excel-based tool that was used for data entry and enabled people to enter data right into Excel. And then on the bottom right is a visual of the Tableau-based dashboard and visualization platform. And while these two tools were able to connect to each other, and we were able to sort of create ways by which folks could enter data into the Excel tool, and then that data would get sort of loaded up into a cloud-based version of the PCF dashboard. There remain some challenges with having those two separate tools as the primary dashboard platform. So what we really that was one of the main things that we wanted to think about, was how can we sort of streamline and simplify the fact that there's two tools. Not everybody has access to Tableau. Not everybody's familiar with Tableau. So how can we use a tool that's a little bit more familiar and accessible to folks than Tableau and its connection to Excel? So that was one of the first challenges, was just how do we think about a more unified platform rather than two separate tools of having the Excel and Tableau-based tool. I think the second big item that we heard feedback on and wanted to make sure to address was the way that this was structured right now. Obviously, the Excel tool could be sent out to partners to fill out on their own and have on their own machines. But the Tableau-based tool was hosted by an external partner. And that was not the ideal situation, as we've heard from several of our partners, is having that externally hosted tool. So then we wanted to take that into consideration and think about how we could make sure that whatever we're building is hosted in countries, on country systems, et cetera. So that was the second piece of feedback that I think was important to capture as we were reflecting on the older version of the tool. As I mentioned before, there was sort of a multi-step process to go from data entry to update and new visuals being updated within the visualization platform. And so streamlining that process was really important. And then another sort of technical challenge was administering users was sort of a cumbersome process and was not fully managed by the NTP, although ultimately the NTP had control and direction over who could and should access the data. It was sort of a collaboration between external partners and the NTP, and we wanted to make sure that any tool that was going to be used in the next iteration of the PCF could be fully managed and owned by the NTP team, and that was straightforward and relatively easy for them. So then, as we started then to reflect on and explore new solutions for what this dashboard platform could look like, the next as I think we mentioned earlier in the presentation, we looked at a bunch of ideas. We sort of collated solutions, and I think ultimately what we came down to was something based in the DHIS2 platform was really going to be probably an optimal solution. We heard from a lot of folks that the wide adoption of DHIS2 and familiarity with a lot of countries is helpful. And so as we look at the new platform, which we'll get into a more full demo in a second, we did end up going with building a platform or a data consolidation and dashboard tool within DHIS2. So this dashboard, it has data entry form built into DHIS2. It has the dashboards and the visualizations built into DHIS2. Because they're connected, it's sort of an all-in-one tool. The data entry connects to the visualizations, and the visualizations can update when data is entered back into the data entry form. And so really is an all-in-one, only uses the HIS2 tool, which was really an attractive solution based on what we heard from feedback and some of the evaluation process, is that having that fully integrated DHIS2 based application would be extremely beneficial and I think a positive development. And so that was, I think, number one. And number two here is some core new features. I think the third piece is there's custom visualization capabilities, and obviously anybody who's used DHIS2, I know there's a lot of probably super users on the call. There's a lot of ability to customize visualizations. So if the visuals that we show in this demo are not what end users want to see, or they're not how they want the visualizations to be shown in their end state, it's relatively straightforward for users to just go in and make changes to those visualizations, change things from line charts to bar charts, or from bar charts to pie charts, etc. And so if there's preference for different visualization styles, there's an ability for end users to make that change as well. I think fourth, and this really touches on some of the things we were mentioning about the challenges with the old tool, is as we've built this, and we'll get into this after the demo a little bit more, as we've built this, it will be published as a metadata package, which enables countries to install this locally on their existing DHIS2 system. So where countries already are up and running with DHIS2, they can download the metadata package from the PCF website, install it onto their DHIS2 system, and all the data entry forms and the pre-built visualizations will be up and running on their DHIS2 system. And they'll just then need to start entering the data, and they'll be able to go off and running to start using the dashboard platform. So the fact that this could be locally run, installed on servers in country, on DHIS2 systems in country, was really an attractive option as we started to look at some of these solutions. And then I think fifth, administering and owning the sort of data platform writ large is all driven by countries. So once the metadata package is installed on a country's DHIS2 system, all the administration will be driven by existing administration rules and roles within the country and within the country's DHIS2 team. So the country teams will be able to determine which users can have full edit access within the NTP, which users have view access, which users can enter data, which users can just visualize the data, etc. And again, we'll get into some of the sort of permissioning and administrative roles a little bit later on. But that ability for countries to own and drive who gets access to, who has visibility into, who can change the data and the data system was really, I think, an attractive feature as we were looking at this solution as well. So that's just kind of a preview of where we started with the dashboard platform and where we're heading with this new solution. But with that, I think we'll jump over to the platform itself and do a little bit of a demo of what's possible within the platform itself.